Good morning, students. We have already read the chapter The Rattrap Seller, the chapter The Rattrap. Uh, we have read that peddler cheated the crofter and looted his money and followed the way of forest. First, we will discuss the textual questions. From where did peddler get the idea of the word being a rat trap? Uh, While going his way, the man was thinking of his rat traps. Suddenly, an idea came to him that the whole world was like a rat trap, and some had already been caught in the snare, and the others were still encircling around the bait. Second question is, why was he amused by this idea? The word had never been kind to the peddler. They are not treating well. So it gave him to joy to think ill of it. So he was always thinking bad for them. So this idea amused him, entertained him. अच्छा लगता था उसको ये सोचना लोगों के बारे में बुरा. Question number 3. Did the peddler expect the kind of hospitality that he received from the crofter? No, he did not expect that kind of hospitality. It was ordinarily the sore faces that greeted him. Nobody attended him in a good way. That's why he was not expecting that crofter will serve him porridge, dalia, or play the game Majolis with him. So he was not expecting. Question number 4. Why was the crofter so talkative and friendly with the peddler? The crofter was actually a lonely person. He was happy to have someone with whom he could sit and talk to in his loneliness. So he had no wife or children. That's why he was happy to attend the guest. Question number 5. Why did he show the 30 kroner to the peddler? The crofter thought that the peddler did not believe his story of the 30 kroner. That was why he showed him the money to make him believe his story. He showed the money just to make him believe that he had a cow and that cow gave milk and he sell the creamery. Just it seemed to peddler unbelievable. That's why crofter showed the money. Question number 6. Did the peddler respect the confidence reposed in him by the crofter? No, absolutely no. The peddler did not respect the crofter's confidence. He was a petty thief and did accordingly. He looted the money and went away. Okay. You write down these 6 questions in your notebook from the text. Now we will continue the chapter. But half an hour later, the rat trap peddler stood again before the door. He did not try to get in, however. He went up to the window and smashed the pane. We have already read this paragraph. We have already read that he was trapped in the forest. So we will continue from the next paragraph. It was late in December. Dark was already descending. The December day was over early. So now he was in the forest. This increased the danger. Forest is always dangerous, and increase also the gloom, sadness. उसकी उदासी भी बढ़ गई and despair. He was upset. परेशानी भी बढ़ गई. Finally he saw no way out and he sank down on the ground. Fell down on the ground, tired to death. He was so tired, dead tired, we have already discussed, thinking that his last moment had come, that his end is near. But just as he laid his head on the ground, just as he fell down on the ground, he heard a sound, a hard, regular thumping, a regular sound of beating something. There was no doubt as to what that was. There was no confusion what type of sound this was. He raised himself. Those are the hammer strokes. He tried to stand on his legs. He confirmed that it was sure that these are the sounds of hammer. Hammer, hathode ki sound thi from an iron mill. In the beginning, we are told that the chapter is set in the iron mill of Sweden. He thought there must be a people nearby. He thought if there is a mill, iron mill, people must be there. He summoned all his strength. Summoned all his strength means he collected his strength. हिम्मत जुटाई, got up, खड़ा हुआ and staggered. His legs were shaking in the direction of the sound. He started moving in the direction of the sound. The Ramsjo iron works, which are now closed down, were not so long ago a large plant with smelter, rolling mill and forge. This was Ramsjo iron mill, smelter where iron is collected and melt to take the hard iron. Raw iron is turned into the hard iron. So big plant was there. And summertime, long lines of heavy loaded barges and schools slid down the canal. When they make the hard iron, so big barge, बड़े बड़े आयरन के जो पीसीज होते हैं उनको वो कैनाल से, रिवर से भेज दिया करते थे, which led to the large inland lake. Through lake they are transporting to the other cities. And in the winter time the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which sifted down from the big charcoal crates. But in winter time they cannot follow the route of lake, so they transport the iron in the trucks. So trucks bring coal, charcoal crates. Trucks पहले तो कोयला लेकर आते हैं, and when they went they were transport the big iron bars. During one of the long evenings, dark evenings just before Christmas, it was the month of December, so just before the Christmas, the master smith and his helper sat in the dark forge bhatti. They were melting the iron near the furnace. भट्टी के पास बैठे थे for pig iron which had been put in the fire to get the iron to get the raw iron from the forge to be ready to put on the anvil. They have to move an iron rod. Anvil is the big iron rod to make the iron. Every now and then one of them got up to stir the glowing mass and long iron bar, returning in a few moments. After a few moments they went and moved that long iron bar, dripping with perspiration. In the winter, when they came back from forge, they were dripping with perspiration. Perspiration, drops of पसीने की drops इसको बोलते हैं, sweating. Through as was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. So this was just for protection. There was a uniform. They wore a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes so they cannot hurt. All the time there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. So many sounds were heard there. The big bellows groan, big bellows that भट्टी के लिए जो हवा की जाती है तो उसके लिए बड़े बड़े बैलून्स टाइप लगे होते हैं एंड जस्ट टू गिव द एयर इन द दैट फर्नेस. तो उनकी साउंड आती रहती है. बर्निंग कोल क्रैक, द क्रैकिंग ऑफ द कोल. द फायर बॉय शॉवल्ड चारकोल इनटू द maw of the furnace. तो the fire boy again and again put the charcoal in the mouth of the furnace. भट्टी में again and again उसको डालता रहता था. With a great deal of clatter. Clatter is the sound of coal when it put in the fire. Outside roared the waterfall, and a sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick tiled roof. There was a sound of rain because due to heat of that furnace there was droplets. It seemed that it was just like rain. It was probably an account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge until he stood close up to the furnace. Due to these sounds, blacksmith was unaware of the entrance of this peddler, that he had opened the gate. Surely it was nothing unusual for poor vagabond, tramp, Rattrap seller. These are the similar words used for the same person. The person who moved here and there without any aim, without any better shelter for the night, to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light. So heat attracted him just to spend the night, this winter night, which escaped through the sooty panes which he has seen from the window panes, and to come to the warm themselves front of the fire. So he entered there that he will get warmth. Already we have told that he was very poor. He cannot protect himself in this winter. So he entered in the iron mill to get the warmth. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indifferently at the intruder. Intruder is again the word used for Rattrap seller. Intruder here means stranger. He casually saw him. He looked the way people of this type usually did, with a long beard, dirty rag, and with a bunch of rat traps dangling on his chest. He saw casually as he was dirty and wire rat traps were hanging on his chest, dangling. On his shoulders he was hanging. He asked permission to stay, and Master Blacksmith nodded a hearty consent. He asked to stay in the that forge, and Master Blacksmith gave a very indifferent agreement. He gave a consent without honoring him, without respecting him, without a single word he attended him. Just he nodded his neck with a movement of the head. The tramp did not say anything either. He had not come there to talk, but only to warm himself and sleep. Both not initiated to talk with each other. Tramp's aim was not to talk, just he wanted to spend night here. In those days, the Ramstow iron mill was owned by a very prominent iron master. Prominent, very famous. Iron master, in those days, Ramstow iron mill, the owner of the Ramstow iron mill was very famous, whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. His aim was to transport good iron in the market and make a good reputation in the market. He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible. So we always keep an eye on his mill, that whether the work is going good or not. And at this very moment, at the same time, when peddler entered the mill, and immediately after that he came to the forge. Owner of the Ramstrow iron mill came to the forge on one of his nightly rounds of inspection. He came there just to inspect that whether the work is going well or not. Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin. Again, a new word used for Rattrap seller, that is ragamuffin. These are synonyms that just to show that the person is poor. Ragamuffin, who had eased his way to so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. He was settled himself, eased his way means settled comfortably near the furnace. He was getting so warm that steam rose from his wet rags, and steam was rising from his clothes. The iron master did not follow the example of the blacksmith, who had hardly dared to look at the stranger. The iron master was not like blacksmith, who had not taken any pain to see that stranger. Iron master paid total attention to the stranger while he is sitting there. He walked close to him. He went near to him, looked him over very carefully. Then he torn off his slouch hat. He very carefully watched him, and then he took his slouch torn, not in a proper shape. That hat he took away to get a better view of his face, to see his face in a better way. But of course, it is you, Nels Alf, he said. How do you do? How you do look? Iron Master immediately asked the ragamuffin that you are Nels Alf. How do you do? How you do look? How you are looking? How you are in this condition? The man with the rat traps had never before seen the iron master at Ramstrow. He had not earlier met this person, the owner of this Ramstrow Ironworks, and did not even know what his name was. He did not know his name also. Earlier he never met this person, but it seemed that Iron Master knew him. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance known to, this peddler thought that if this rich man thought that I am his old known to, he might perhaps throw him a couple of kroner. He might give him some money. Kroner is the currency of Sweden. Therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. Therefore, he did not want to disclose his identity. तो अपनी पहचान नहीं बताना चाहता था. Yes, God knows things have gone downhill with me, he said. So he gave a very general answer that God knows how the things grow worse and worse. चीज़ें मेरे साथ कैसे बुरी होती गई. You should not have resigned from the regiment, said the Iron Master. That was the mistake. If only I had still been in the service at the time. The Iron Master said that it was your mistake to resign from the regiment. It seemed to the Iron Master that he was in the army. The Iron Master said that if I was in service at that time, I will not allow you to, or I will not have to suggest you to resign from the service. It never would have happened. Well, now of course you will come home with me. Now the Iron Master invited this paddler, this tramp ragamuffin, to his home to go up to the manor house, owner's house, and be received by the owner like an old regimental comrade. That, however, did not please the tramp. This tramp is the same used for Rattrap sailor. Tramp is the person who moves here and there without any aim. So he was not pleased. He was not happy to get this invitation. No, I could not think of it, he said, looking quite alarmed. And this ragamuffin, this tramp, Rattrap sailor, suddenly became alert, and he said that no, I could not think of it. I could not think to go to your house, to your home. He thought of the 30 kroner. Now this ragamuffin was thinking about the money he had stolen. To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. This will be just like to enter in the lion's den. शेर की गुफा में जाने जैसी बात हो जाएगी. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away as inconspicuously as possible. His main aim was just to take rest or just to spend night and then sneak away without in the notice of anybody. He will go from this forge. The Iron Master assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. Iron Master guessed that he was feeling embarrassed, means feeling ashamed. He was feeling ashamed because of miserable clothing, because his clothes were not good. He was in not good position. Please do not think that I have a fine home that you cannot show yourself there. So Iron Master said that do not think that I am living in a very good house, that you cannot present yourself there. He said, Elizabeth is dead, as you may already have heard. You must have heard that my wife is not in this world. My boys are abroad. My sons are gone to another country, foreign country. There is no one at home except my oldest daughter. So my oldest daughter is at home, and myself. We two are living there. We are just saying that it was too bad we did not have any company for Christmas. So my daughter and I were talking that this Christmas there is no company with us. Now come along with me and help us make the Christmas food disappear a little faster. So you are invited to spend or celebrate Christmas with us so that we can eat or share food, Christmas food together. But the stranger said no and again no. And the Iron Master saw that he must give in. Must give in means surrender. Again and again, the stranger, Rattrap seller, peddler, tramp, ragamuffin refused the invitation. So the Iron Master saw that he had to surrender. To look as though Captain Von Stenhal preferred to stay with you tonight, Sturgeon Storm, he said to the master blacksmith and turned on his heel. The Iron Master commanded or said to Master Blacksmith that it seemed that Captain Wonstel, Iron Master recognized that ragamuffin as Captain Monster and Sturgeon Storm is the name of Master Blacksmith, that he wants to spend night with you, and he started moving out of the forge. But he laughed to himself as he went away, and the blacksmith, who knew him, understood very well that he had not said his last word. Blacksmith knew his master, and Iron Master was laughing to himself. Blacksmith knew that he must come back because he had not said his last word, usually what he was saying. It was not more than half an hour before they heard a sound of carriage. Almost after half an hour, a carriage stopped outside the forge, and a new guest came in. In the forge, a new guest came in, but this time it was not the Iron Master. This time this new guest was not the Iron Master, not the owner of the Ramstew Iron Mill. He had sent his daughter, apparently hoping that he would have better powers of persuasion than he himself. Iron Master sent his daughter to invite this Rattrap seller because he thought that his daughter can better insist or motivate this person to come to the home. So let's discuss the questions. What made the peddler think that he had indeed fallen into the rat trap? When the peddler was unable to come out of the forest, he was unable to find the way to come out of the forest on the main road. Then he thought that he had fallen into a rat trap. Why did the Iron Master speak kindly to the peddler and invite him home? Because the Iron Master thought that he was his old regimental comrade, because he was his old friend, and he thought that he was Captain Wonstel. That's why he invited him to his home. Why did peddler decline the invitation? Refused. The peddler refused the invitation because he thought that going to manor house, going to the Iron Master's home, it was just like going to lion's den. So he started thinking about his stolen money, that was 30 kroners. Thank you. Next we will continue in the next lecture.